Hi, this is Anabrese. Welcome to my channel. I hope you're doing very well today. I just wanted to do a little video on just basically when times get rough, how to hold true to the light, how to hold steady in the light, how to stay steady in our own beingness and not really get swept up in the momentum of the world. So I'm just going to share a few ideas around that, because there's so much change going on in the world right now, so many different things, and it can be quite challenging, when there's just so much information coming at us from different sources in our communities and through the media, and we're kind of swept up in these conversations, even if we go out during the day. So it's just, how to kind of not really become too overwhelmed by circumstances that are going on globally, collectively. So one of the first things is just the realization or recognition that we can't control external events. It's not. Sometimes part of the frustration comes from not being able to do something directly ourselves to change it. So that can be that can kind of affect us as well, just not being able to really do anything, because these bigger external events that are going on around the globe, we can't really change it at this moment or in this moment. So it's just the recognition, that, okay, I can't really do anything at the moment, So, so there's no point really taking it on, getting too overwhelmed with it emotionally and mentally, because if there's nothing that we can do action-wise to directly affect, what's happening. For example, if in your community, your local community, you were just walking along the road, minding your own business, and suddenly there was a car crash or something, you're there because you're there in that moment. You can respond to the situation, you can go and help, and you can actively do something physically. So basically it's understanding, what we're really responsible for, what we're really responsible to, in these kind of more wider global situations. And one of the main things is that while you can't physically affect things, through your physical actions, one of the biggest things you can do is actually to really hold steady in your own beingness, to really hold steady in a different frequency to actually what's going on. So, because if you get swept up in the momentum of it and then you feel bad, that's just going to pull you down and your energy goes down, and then you can't, you don't feel good, and you've basically allowed yourself to get overwhelmed to the point of just where you feel rotten, basically. So but what you can do is you can hold steady in your own vibration, your own beingness, be responsible for your own space. We can be responsible for our own space, our own response to situations, to information that's even coming our way. We don't have to take it on, we don't have to be overloaded by it. I'm not saying that we don't care, because we care, but it's, if there's nothing directly that you can do to immediately affect the situation, then there's no point becoming completely overwhelmed yourself to the point where you just feel really bad, really sad, or really powerless, all day long. There's just no purpose to that, So you're kind of responsible for your own territory in that sense, or we can at least be responsible for our own space, which is our own energy, our own vibration, our own radiance, our own state of being. So how do we do that? By really just being, by being present, by staying in the presence, our field of awareness, by staying in the field of awareness of being, and, you know, not getting caught up in the drama, the unfoldment of drama, or external factors. It's just allowing the space for all of it. You know, it's like by being centered in our own being, we're allowing the space for everything to just be as it is. You know, there's no resistance to what's happening or what is. Because if we resist, when we resist or judge what's happening, there's this contraction, you know, which puts us in a state of, you know, we're kind of losing our centeredness if we start to contract. So we want to kind of like be in that open, free space of awareness where everything is allowed, everything can come and go, because nothing lasts anyway that arises in this space. Nothing lasts that appears. So what appears will eventually disappear, and then more appearances will come. So everything is an appearance. None of it lasts. But when we're going through it, it seems so I was going to say addictive, but it's more of a kind of when it's happening, it's just we can get caught up in the momentum of it, and it's so real, you know, it's so here and now. But it is still an appearance, and it will dissolve as well. So nothing that appears is truly real, because it doesn't stay the same. It's always coming and going. It's always changing. So our beingness, our state of being, the pure awareness that's beyond all the appearances, is what never changes, is what never comes and goes. And that's what you are. That's who you are, and what you've always been since you've been consciousness, aware of yourself, of your beingness. So coming home to that center and not allowing ourselves to get pulled off too much, you know, is one of the keys to staying, holding steady. And it reminds me of like Tai Chi. You know, they were always about, you know, a lot of the martial arts are always about staying in a stance where you've got both feet on the ground and your legs are slightly bent, if any of you are familiar with that. So it's like you stay rooted like a tree, you know, you're rooted to the core of your being. So this is what this is like. It's like being rooted in your core. And then the wind can come and, you know, knock the branches and the leaves around, but the roots stay rooted. So you can be like that tree. You can be rooted in pure beingness, and allow, you know, the wind to kind of come and go, and the leaves to fall, and then the root get replaced again by more leaves, by different leaves. So things up here on this world of the surface level are always changing, always coming and going. So it's only in our attachment to them that we kind of can get swept up in our emotions and thoughts. So basically, you know, we don't want to get knocked over. So it's like staying rooted, because getting knocked over is really when we allow our thoughts and emotions to become a little bit overly engaged with what's happening. So if we become overly engaged, we're kind of leaning, you know, we're leaning over. We're sort of losing that centeredness, that stability, which is where we kind of want to be, so that we don't get swept up too much in the momentum of what's going. So we can be like that by staying rooted in our own beingness. And I remember last year when the Australian bushfires were going on, and I'm very empathic because, you know, I feel that oneness, that unity connection with all of life. And it was really kind of, I felt a little bit displaced by it, you know, emotionally, because, you know, the innocent animals and all that. And I remember talking to my dad about it, who's recently passed on, and he said to me, you know, you can't come out of your own being. And he wasn't really into spirituality that much, but he was quite philosophical. And I think he understood, you know, that it was more my path and what I was doing. But when he said that day, I just knew exactly what the reflection was, what the message was for me, which was just that you can't come out of your own being, which really means that you can't overextend yourself too much. Because when we lean, we lose our, you know, we lose our rootedness, our stability. So basically it's about, you know, staying steady amidst the chaos when all this stuff's going on, you know. And sometimes that might literally mean switching off the news, switching off the information that's coming at us, not talking to people about it. Because, and again, this is not about not caring about what's going on or being aware. You know, it will come into our awareness anyway if we're meant to know about it. But it's just, it's about not getting overwhelmed by it, and especially if you're quite empathic or whatever. These things can really affect you, you know, and even if you're not empathic, everybody gets affected at some level of these sort of things. So basically, it's about understanding that whilst we can't directly influence what's going on out there or in another country, somewhere else in the world, bringing it closer to home, which is like our home, our center of being, this space that you are, the space that you are, the vibration, the energy that you give out on a day-to-day basis is what you're responsible for, or what you can be responsible for. So you can, in some sort of way, be directly responsible for your state of being, your energy, your joy, you know, and you can lift others by focusing on that, by being more stable, because people need that stability, because there's so many getting swept up in the momentum at the moment. So the more of us that can stay grounded, can not get too overwhelmed by the momentum of what's going on, it helps other people. It's being of service in some way, and it means that, you know, the people that you're directly in relation with, or your closer community, can benefit from that. So staying steady in the field of awareness, which is, you know, where we can influence the direction of energy, we can be responsible for that part of ourselves, and just be mindful of not absorbing too much of the world's momentum and influence externally. So yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, it's really just about staying in the vibration of love, you know, staying in the heart vibration of love, unconditional love. Again, allowing for everything to be as it is, without judgment, without worry, even without worry, without sadness, without grief, without, you know, all these things. I'm not saying they can't arise, they can, but if we let those emotions carry on and feed them with more thoughts, then they'll gather even more energy, and then that momentum in us is what eventually knocks us over, and then it's like, oh, you know, and then you can't handle it. So basically, it's about being able to kind of catch it in the bud, before you're overextending yourself. So just being mindful of your energy on a day-to-day basis or a moment-to-moment basis, you know, to free up that energy so that you're not getting too swept up in the momentum of world events. Okay, so stay in your joy, and it's okay to be joyful even while all this chaos is going on in the world. You know, there's like millions of parallel realities all happening at once. There's just remember that there is immense joy also happening on the planet at this time. People are celebrating just having had a baby, or, you know, I don't know, a proposal or a new puppy, or you know, or just feeling great, you know. So there's like so much to still be celebrated in life, but sometimes the current topics of conversation or the media can just spread like wildfire, as we know, literally, and before you know it, it's like a collective kind of drama and chaos. So just stay steady, dear souls, you know, and stay connected in the heart, and be in that space where everything is allowed to be just as it is. But you can, you know, come home to yourself, come home to your center, come home to your own field of awareness. Be mindful of your own field of awareness and what you let into that space. Okay, so namaste, dear friends. I hope you enjoyed this video, and if you did, please share it with friends and family that might get something from it. So sending you so much love. Bye for now.